Hello, Patreon folks. Hello. How are we all? I am super excited, shocked, amazed. I don't know what to say, but there are 44 of you in already. Absolutely unbelievable. That's a fantastic attendance. And let me just hope that I do this little stream justice. So good to see everybody in, to see you chatting already. I've just this minute sat down and got myself together and organised. I was away this weekend. It's half term here for the kids, and I went away with the family this weekend. But I wanted to get this Patreon only live stream organised and put together and out there because I've been promising it for such a long time, and I knew that I had this slot. And next week, unfortunately, I'm going to be away in Italy, which is why I've pulled the regular live stream forward to this Thursday night, this Thursday coming, by the way. So time was becoming compressed, and I realised that the Patreon stream had to be done. There's another one coming up as well. I'm speaking to the Whiskey Rev just now, and I've invited him on and asked if he would be up for joining me on a Patreon stream so that we could share some drams together and just kind of talk about our relationship and expose the Whiskey Rev for who he is and not some mythical guy so many of you think that he's made up. And I'll talk a wee bit about that as well as we come up. But I want to welcome so many of you that are in. This is when the imposter syndrome kicks in, right? What am I doing with so many cool people wanting to hang out with me? And of course, it's that thing, it's that connectedness, it's that whiskey that we keep talking about. But there's Macallan Fine and Rare, the dock is in. I'm going to go backwards and hope that it's going to move slow enough for me to keep up. The dock is in. Macallan Fine and Rare. Era from Belgium is in. Fantastic. Whiskey Wolf is in. Let's see. It's already starting to hide comments from people. Fantastic. James Hope, my friend. James, so good to see you. And Donner Pass Whiskey, fantastic. Kilted Moose, Scott, superb. I've just poured a sample from you, Scott. I'll talk about it in a wee minute. Jason is in. Fantastic malt review. Jason, superb. Kenneth Kennelty, Cap and Make It Happen. Fantastic. Who else have we got? And Christine Deems. Christine, how are you? And how was Ron's birthday at the weekend? Fantastic to see you joining. Bart is in. Malt Chronicles. The Alchemist. My friend Sevi from just across town. Multi-Haggis Muncher. Ryan McLeave. Amy has already started to drum up the likes I see, which is fantastic. Amy, thank you very much. Josh Goladi's in, or Golady, isn't it, Josh? Actually caught a wee bit of your stream when I was away this weekend. The Wi-Fi was terrible where we were. It kept switching over to 4G, and I was sitting there realising I was watching YouTube videos on 4G. I was giving myself a fright, but I caught a little bit of your new live stream that you've hooked up with Brad, who I saw in. He's in as well. Brad, how are you? And also Vito. All three of you are patrons of this channel, and for that I'm very flattered, privileged and grateful. So I'm hoping that I can pick up some of your stream and find out how it went for you guys the other night as well, and I wish you the very best of luck with that. It's not easy, believe me. Dwayne is in, my friend Dwayne. Fantastic to see you. Welcome in, Dwayne. Matthias is in. Superb, Matthias. Brad, as I've already mentioned. London Whiskey Club, would that be Jez then? That's either Jez or Shiv. James Hope is already in. It could be Connor, perhaps. It wouldn't be Jason Whiskey-wise. But welcome in, London Whiskey Club. I'm going to guess that it's Jez. Andy is in. Ardbaggy, fantastic to see you. Gus is in. Superb, Gus. We've just been speaking about bourbon over direct message. Thank you very, very much for your kind offers. And Food Quig is in. Andy, you star. Thanks so much for joining. It must be just a little after lunchtime where you are on the west coast of Canada. Andy, it's so nice to welcome you in, my friend. It's been so long since we've spoken. Fantastic. Superb. Toon Van Rouge. Toon, fantastic to see you. Jason Unsworth, fantastic, Jason, from the States as well. Wow, so many of you. And I know I'm going to miss a lot of you. And I apologise. Rory Wingett is in. Rory, fantastic to see you. My friend Mikey Hay, superb. He actually made a comment there that I wanted to pick up on. Just as I was going live, I saw a comment from Mikey Hay saying that Roy has got so many patrons that these chats are going to move past fast as well now. Absolutely, if 46 of you tune into these lives, I think that is going to be the case. This is actually more people in this live now than my first live stream when it went out in 2017. which is a fantastic thing. But obviously the idea, why is there Patreon-only live streams? These are free live streams. These are not creations that are posted on Patreon. They're not paid for. They're just me finding some time to give back to you guys for what you. I've just realized my laptop isn't on charge. Oh dear. To try and give back something, to say thank you so much for all your fantastic support that you've shown me, just in general through community comments and things like that, but especially through Patreon. And the reason that I've kind of been so adamant that I get this stream out tonight is because of that very fact, just how much Patreon support I've had, and talk to you a little bit about that and share some things that will change for me next year. So if I can see that a lot of you are highlighting comments for me already, which is fantastic. Everybody's just saying, Bart's saying, Great Lakes, right? How was it? Yeah, the weather. We went down to the Lake District with the family. They've got a kind of park there, a really cool park. And we were there just for a few days. The weather on Friday and Saturday was just torrential rain. It just didn't stop. Just water everywhere. We were getting soaked. It's one of these parks that you leave the car outside and you use bikes to get around. And using bikes in the rain is not fun. But we just made do. And then the weather cleared up late on Saturday, and Sunday was nice. In fact, we were actually sitting out on Sunday afternoon in the sunshine. It was cold, but it was nice. Kind of really autumnal. Andy's saying, you're just too popular, Roy. Yeah, what the hell, Andy? It's crazy, but it's fantastic, right? Yeah, so it was a really good weekend away. Managed to switch off, managed to keep on top of a few messages and things like that, but there's going to be a bunch of stuff that I've missed, and I apologize. I tried to switch off as much as I could. Biblical up here on Saturday too, Sevi is saying. Yeah, it was just, the rain was incredible, but at least it wasn't so windy. There's nothing worse. I'm going to pour a wee dram because I've got a dram here from Kilted Moose Scott, a 41-year-old North Star Vega. He sent me he brought me some samples, and I took these away with me over the weekend and sipped them. And I've just got a wee drop of those to finish. I'm just about to kill off this fantastic RN14. It would be very easy for me to evangelize about this as much as I do about Deanston. This has been a wonderful, wonderful bottle. Maybe one of the best RNs I've actually had. I don't know if you've noticed that I often turn the bottle upside down before I uncork it. And there's a reason for that. Sometimes I forget, and I still get caught out by broken corks. Sometimes you'll just twist and tug on a cork, and it'll have splintered. It'll have been quite dry or brittle. I mean, these are natural, right? So they often have natural breaks and cracks and things in there. But if you tip the bottle upside down and give it a little twist and tip it again and just use the whiskey to help the cork out, I find that I haven't had one break on me yet if I've done that to it. I'm not saying it can't happen, it probably still will. But this little Aaron has been absolutely fantastic. Bart Damon is agreeing with me. He's saying it's an underrated beauty, that 14. It absolutely is. You know, Aaron took a while to get into its stride, but in the last 4 or 5 years, it really has managed that. And just now, the stuff that's coming out of Aaron is wonderful. This is really, really very fruity, and fruity in the most positive way. Sometimes a fruity whiskey can still be a little kind of spirit driven, and most of the fruit flavors are coming from the distillate itself. It's quite, it can be quite raw, and what you tend to concentrate on the fruit because that's the positive elements. But no, this is utterly integrated. The flavors that you get out of this, and especially over the weekend, what I was doing is I'd taken a couple of wee drams down. I was drinking a Lechik. I was drinking a couple of samples from Scott. And as we were sipping backwards and forwards, this really could hold its own with anything. And for a 14-year-old at the price that it's at, it's really, really fantastic. Josh is saying, do you have a preferred cask finish series, Aaron? No, I've tried a couple of them though, Josh. The one I've got downstairs is the Amarone. The Amarone is famous for being the pink Aaron, right? It's a really pink whiskey. And all of those cask finishes from Arran are 50% ABV. So the perception is often that they're quite hot. People don't pause for a second to realise that they're really quite high ABV. So you do need to play with them a little bit and have fun with them with a wee bit of water sometimes. But I don't have a favourite. The Amarone is a good whiskey, but I would actually take this over it. This is wonderful stuff. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much, patrons. Thank you for joining me tonight. Raise your glass, Sláinte. So, if a normal Thursday night it's just gorgeous. It's just absolutely gorgeous. If a normal V-pub on a Thursday night, sorry, it's the V-pub if that's a normal Thursday night, we kind of have to think of this as me kind of inviting you into my house or something like that. And kind of the way I'd like to approach these is to be a wee bit more laid back. It's just to kind of relax a wee bit with you. But that shouldn't necessarily mean that I prepare less. I was getting caught out with Patreon live streams earlier in the year where I was really treating it as just a leisurely hangout. So I do want to kind of try and bring things to you that the patrons are actually getting a value out of it as well, and not just kind of me just having a dram. I don't know. But I do get a lot of feedback from people to say, well, do you know what? See if you just spend the entire Patreon live stream just hanging out with the crowd. So be it. That's what we like. So help shape this, what it is. And I know what you're saying, that we've broken 50, we're at 51. So I mean, almost half my patrons are joining here tonight, unless somebody's sharing the link out there and it's got out into the public, which is just fantastic. So again, it's still quite, it's kind of difficult for that kind of pace where I can kind of go through the comments and have a conversation with so many of you. It's difficult. Top Whiskies has joined. Fantastic. Ed, that'll be you, Ed. Superb. Thanks so much for your support. Top Whiskies are also a channel. They're on YouTube. They're doing very, very well in the UK. That's Ed and Evan down in London. J.K. Van Fleet is in. Fantastic. Zach Andrews. Superb, Zach. Marcus Kreitner as well. Superb. Just wonderful to welcome you all in. So the main drive for tonight, the reason that I wanted to just get a Patreon only stream done was just to say thank you so much. You might remember a live stream I did back in January, and I kind of just said to the people in general, you know, I'm thinking about monetizing the channel and I'm not that comfortable with it. I think it might, I don't know how you feel about ads and things like that. And everybody said, look, just go for it. We don't care. You know, the ads are skippable. Sometimes we watch the ads, just go for it. And I also brought up the thorny subject of monetizing of Patreon. And I always said to myself that I would never monetize the channel. I would never start Patreon or anything like that unless there was a point, unless I was really enjoying it and everything was going quite well. But I also told myself nothing until a year. So there was a year up, and I waited until a full year, and then I monetized the channel and I started Patreon. When I set up Patreon, the next day I came through to notifications from Patreon, and I had 17 patrons on the first day. Just, you know, if ever you need encouragement that you've done the right thing, or people are supporting, or people like what you've done, that's the kind of encouragement that you want. Absolutely fantastic. And it's just been steadily creeping up since then. I haven't changed the tiers or rewards. I've kind of added just a little bit of a reward in terms of video dedications. That's the only thing I've done over the year. But it's been climbing and climbing and climbing. And it's made me realize that while I've always said I didn't want to work in whiskey, I didn't want whiskey to be my job, I didn't want to replace my existing boss with a whiskey boss. And that's still true. But what it can do is suddenly there is a demand out there. There's an appetite for what I'm doing, this whiskey sharing thing, this whiskey evangelism. I'm not reviewing whiskey, certainly not in any traditional sense. So it's that kind of that community thing, that community vibe. And I really want to chase that. I want to make that as good as I can make it. The problem is time and family and the day job and everything like that. But from next year, I will be And I'm not saying this publicly. I'm not going to announce this publicly. I would never say it on a live stream, but I'm going to be self-employed. My current employer, I've been with them for 20 years. And the role that I do for them is very, very diverse. I do a lot of different things. And I would say that I enjoy 50 or 60% of it, maybe more. And that's kind of the branding side of things, the graphic design, the events, things where I can create, basically. I love that. And the rest of it is very administrative focused. It's kind of, systems, cloud systems, CMS systems, all of that kind of things. And it's kind of fun doing that, but those projects are done now. And I want to focus on the stuff that I enjoy. And I'm at a point in my life that I either do that or I stick with the day job and just ride it out to retirement. And I want to do that. I want to take control of my own destiny, and I want to become a contractor for the things that I enjoy in a self-employed role. What that will do is give me a lot more family time, a lot more family flexibility, and let me take care of my own destiny, work the hours that I want to work in order to earn what I need to earn. Why that's relevant to this discussion tonight and to you guys is that I can't keep taking time from my family to do the whiskey thing. My family are not complaining. My wife is very supportive. But it's gathering so much momentum now, and it's needing so much time. And I'm not talking about the time I'm spending with you here now. That's easy. It's all the administrative stuff. It's the messages. It's keeping up to speed with things. It's learning and tasting and researching and connecting with you guys offline. It's taking a lot of time. So if I can build some flexibility into my life, that helps a lot. It helps me keep sharing this passion that I have in whiskey. It gives me that outlet. Food Quick is saying, cool. So we'll be able to meet when I get to Glasgow. Andy, you've got no chance of getting in and out of Glasgow without meeting me. I will literally stalk you. Are you kidding me on? The doc is saying all the very best for your new journey, Roy. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Doc. I'm a wee bit nervous because there is a financial precipice next year, but you don't get to take control of your own destiny without taking these jumps. Jason Fowler is saying, terrific, life is short, chase your dreams. That's exactly right. And that, 100 patrons is a big deal, and it's broken that now and beyond that. And it is misleading. Anybody that's got their own Patreon will know that, especially if you set it up per creation, it says $400 and odd per creation, and that's not true. If I post one video a month, it would get me $400, but the next video, because of people capping, which I actively encourage, by the way, control, don't be surprised about what comes out of your accounts towards Patreon every month. You can cap and control it. It caps and it drops significantly. So the next video that goes out is almost half, and the next video goes out is a significant drop down again. And by the time I'm at my fourth or fifth video, it's nothing close to that figure. It's a fraction of that figure. So it's a wee bit misleading that Patreon puts that figure there. And I've got an option to switch that off. I can make it not public what I earn, but I don't really care. I've always said that if people are curious to work out how much YouTube pays creators and things like that, that I would probably be quite happy to share that kind of thing. In terms of YouTube, it's really not that much. But so clearly that's a significant financial support for the whiskey thing coming there. But if you consider what somebody needs to earn a living, and earn a living and buy whiskey, it doesn't take much to work out that I can't sustain myself from that income. But it does give me the ability to dedicate some serious time in my week, especially if I'm self-employed. That becomes something I can do guilt-free with your support. And it's just that kind of flexibility. The timing has kind of worked out for that to all just start to fit together. And that's kind of what I wanted to share with you. And also in return, I wanted to find some kind of payback, some kind of reward or prize that I could do that would allow me to connect with you and reward you. So I did a giveaway, but today I got 2 emails from Patreon to say that I've been a very naughty man, and that anything that involves raffles or a game of chance is not permitted within the Patreon environment. Now, I think what they're getting at is me making my reward tiers about a game of chance or a raffle or something, which is not. This is just it's a completely separate giveaway draw that I am choosing to offer to my patrons as a priority. It's not something that I'm using to lure people into Patreon. I'm just trying to reward the patrons I've already got. And then with the 3rd ticket, offer that out to the community in general. So I got some trouble from Patreon, which was a bit strange. But hey, Dwayne is saying keep family first. Absolutely, Dwayne. And I think that's right. It's just a healthy thing to do. And it's you know, they would absolutely demand it from me. And you know, you only enjoy these things if there's a balance, I think. Sevi's saying a very brave, exciting and bold choice for your career and a big challenge. It is, Sevi, it is, but what's the worst that can happen, right? It all falls around my ears and I go back into the workforce, perhaps. It's a narrow window. I'm in my late 40s now, so you have to take these things on. A very good passions they are too, is it? Ed is saying, I'd love to go solo and spend more time on whiskey and the community around it. Rory. That's exactly it. It just gives me a wee bit of flexibility there, Ed. I'm not saying it's going to change and I'm suddenly going to be able to put out twice as many videos or anything like that. That would mean I would also be changing the terms there in terms of Patreon support and things, of course. So, but what it does do is mean that I will be able to bring out much more steady content. I will be able to commit the time to it. That even despite the growth that it's seeing, I'll be able to still give it the nurture that it needs. Twillagers is saying, congrats, best of luck in your venture. Thank you very much. Simon Ray is saying, exciting times. It really, really is, Simon. Stevie is saying, they've got their rules, accept the slap on the wrist and don't do it again. And that's been said, take care of your family first and foremost. Thank you very much. I knew I would be preaching to a very understanding crowd. It's just great talking to you guys. You know, when I'm interacting with people, it's just so much easier to interact with the Patreon folk. You're just very, very supportive people. Sid is saying, I'm sure that we are all more than happy that our support is allowing you to set time aside guilt-free. Well done. That's exactly what it's doing. Sid, thank you very much. Travis is saying, have you figured out that break-even point of what you need to earn through your channel and Patreon going forward as an independent contractor? Yeah, well, it's very woolly, isn't it? My wife is working, so there's flexibility there. So I put a business plan and things together to look at but it's all very kind of in the ether stuff, because a lot of the work I would be contracting to my existing employer, my existing employer for a start. I'm hoping that we can do that, because if I can make the break from them as clean and professional as possible, I think they'd perhaps be interested in buying some of my time. So that's a good start. There's a little bit of a platform there. And then just building on the relationships that I already have in place, perhaps, and they just kind of word of mouth to do little jobs. But just doing it at a level where I don't drown, that I can still focus on family, still have time for the whiskey thing, and kind of structure my week around the other contracts. And Andy is saying, Akaviti, will you have a new company name? I will, Andy. If you've got any suggestions, I'd love to hear. Cheers, folks, again. And Ed is saying that's a great way to start. Yeah, I just need to hope that, you know, the departure from my existing employer stays, you know, professional. James is saying, what are you drinking tonight? Right, I just poured a delicious Aaron 14, James. Really love this. This will obviously be appearing in a recycled video soon. I think it's fantastic. I think they should be applauded as well. The big age statement right in the centre. They've got non-chill filtered written on the label and bottled at natural colour. And they also bottle it at 46% as well. Really good presentation. Fantastic distillery to visit. I haven't visited myself, but I'm told by everybody that goes there that they get a very deep personal experience. So that's what I'm sipping just now, James. London Whiskey Club is saying self-employment can be great. If you need an accountant to do your tax return, I'll do it free of charge. That must be Jez. You star. You star. I've spoken to an accountant very briefly up to now. My wife has an accountant already in place. But that's a really nice offer, Jez. Thank you very, very much. Macallan Fine and Rare. Don't wish the same. Give them a bottle of whiskey when you leave. That'll keep them sweet. That's a good idea. It's nice. Leave some thank you gifts. Because I've had 20 years working for a company, that the culture of that company and the opportunities that job has afforded me, it's been a privilege. It's been an absolute privilege to work for them. It really has. Andy's saying I was 24 when I went self-employed and still going. Sounds like you wouldn't go back on it, Andy, either. It sounds like you're quite happy with it. Now, the important thing is to remember as well that I'm not going self-employed to do the whiskey thing. It's just I can't earn from that, and I also kind of want to keep this. I'm a wee bit reluctant about a hobby becoming a revenue stream. When I start to have to bring content rather than want to bring content, I think the dynamic would change, and I think you guys would feel that. I think it would be noticed, and I think you would see me turn up and just start to churn rather than evangelize, right? So it's got to kind of be about sharing. So this has still got to be the hobby thing. But as part of this business plan for next year, I did tally up my spending on whiskey for this year, for 2018, and there is no way I'm going to share that, so don't ask me what that was. Perhaps my wife is on the stream. But I was absolutely staggered by how much money I had spent on whiskey. And I don't just mean buying whiskey bottles. That was by far the bulk of it. But I'm speaking about shows throughout this year, trips and things. Starting at the Old and Rare show back in February, the amount of money that cost me, and going to Isla, just going to various festivals, traveling around and things. And, it's been wonderful, and I wouldn't change any of it. Texas, especially, things like that. But it has been a huge, huge, huge financial burden. So if I'm going to want to keep that up next year, I better have a backup plan, right? I better have a way in order for me to keep bringing experiences that I can share. Roy should get to the gathering. I would love to go to the gathering. That would be fantastic. I'm not active on Whiskey Base. I'm not active. I have a membership, but it's been neglected for quite a long time, Jason. But I would love to do that. Would be a fantastic opportunity, and you never know. Perhaps if everything goes well, I'll suddenly have time and money. Because it's another thing, is a lot of these whiskey trips and things, even just meeting up with you guys when you're in the country, or meeting up with Jason on the other side of the country and things like that, they require time away from the family and the job, and I simply don't have enough holiday days in the year to do that just now. Whereas if you're self-employed, I can build my own schedule and things like that to be flexible and to fit things in. Superb. Brad is also saying, I've spent so much on whiskey things this year, I need to start a business so I can be partially tax write-off next year. Exactly. I mean, it's a wonderful hobby, Brad. It really, really is. It's a beautiful hobby in terms of how it connects people and how it builds friendships, relationships and things. But yes, as the months go by, it's becoming more and more expensive. JK is saying, sounds great, Roy. Keep up the great work. I have to head home. Good evening, all. JK, thank you so much for stopping in and joining us. Wonderful to have you. So I'll finish off this wee Aaron, and I can tell you what my friend Scott, I've really been given a lot of wonderful samples recently. It's fantastic. And I am more likely to share my address with patrons. It's one of the things that I say in the tiers. I'll do a sample exchange at a certain tier. The reason I do that is because patrons, there's a connection already there. It's not just kind of people out in the crowd kind of saying, yeah, give me your address, I've got these cool whiskies to send. I think I have to remember that this is my home, it's my family home and things, and that I need to be a wee bit cautious about just openly giving out my address. But I have been very, very generously treated with samples recently. And as I always say about samples, the people give you these samples, they're excited to share them with you. And they're looking for some feedback. Scott Monroe, Kilted Moose, who's in tonight, I saw him here earlier, I hope he's still here. He gave me a little bag while we were out in town a couple of weeks back with 3 samples in it. Now, this isn't normal, but Scott is a bit of a whiskey journeyman. And the youngest one he gave me was a 33-year-old Kalila. And I shared this when I was away that weekend, and I shared it with my brother-in-law, who's a peated whiskey fan. And the two of us were rendered silent by this. Absolutely gorgeous. Utterly, utterly subtle. This is a Douglas Lane XOP Kalila 33 at 49.8%, which will obviously be cask strength. Wonderful, Scott. He also gave me this North Star Vega. This is a 41-year-old North Star Vega at 46.1%, which will probably be cask strength as well. And he also gave me a 35-year-old Antiquary blend. Now, I didn't know the Antiquary did a 35-year-old. But clearly they do. The Antiquary is a very well-known, very long-established blend. Yes, he's saying he's still there. Scott, thank you so much. I didn't share the Antiquary, I just had some myself. But I shared this North Star Vega with my brother-in-law as well. And he said that that's the oldest whiskey that he's sipped. Now imagine, I know that the first 40-year-old Vega was fantastic and very, very good value. I think it was £55 or something when it first came out in this country last year. £55 for a 40-year-old whiskey, but it was because it was a blended malt or vatted malt in one of these married in cask type things. Fantastic. And the original one was Highland Park, Macallan, and the jury's out. Some people say it's Glenturret, some people say Glenrothes, but a mix of that sort. And I think back in the days when they were doing a high-end grouse blend, a blended malt version of grouse, what they were doing is they were putting these whiskies back into cask to marry them before a revatting again for bottling. And some of these casks, through discontinuation or whatever, ended up available in the open market. And some of them were really quite mature. There was a 23-year-old specifically that I'm talking about was that stock. But there was also a 40-year-old version, which they say was a similar stock profile. Sevy's saying he's got the same 41-year-old Vega. And it's not opened yet. Dwayne, you're absolutely right. It was very generous of him. If some of you might know, I know a couple of you know Scott, but he's just a very, very kind guy, kind with his time as well. I'm wondering how to pay this back, Scott. I'm wondering what I can bring along. You can taste the age on it. Very good, but a nice amount of kind of spice there. Obviously at cask strength. So it's not softened. 46.1%. Really, really delicious and a privilege to have. Okay, let's see. I need to figure out how to send you some Balcones. Josh is saying, well, that would be fantastic, Josh. So I brought back, I have the number 1 downstairs, and I brought back a bottle of the Mirador. The Mirador was fabulous. And the number 1 I've tried a couple of times as well. I know that that's a kind of batch-driven product. But I have those 2 downstairs. It's just amazing how good that whiskey can be at such a young age. And Scott is saying a pleasure. I hope they're going down well. They absolutely are. Donner Pass Whiskey is saying, yes, would be interested to find out how to ship you samples. I have quite a bit of cask strength bourbon I could send you samples of. Well, that's exactly what I'm talking about. It's great. And one of the perks, one of the tiers is that I'll happily kind of try and exchange samples with you. It's becoming more and more difficult. But I'm finding that the samples are building up just now. So if I do appear less than keen, it's not because I'm not keen, it's because I'm worried that I can't do them justice. And I'm only one guy. You know, when I'm up trying all these whiskies and things so that I can enthuse and talk about these whiskies with you in live streams or in videos or however it may be, I'm also trying to sip through the samples and things like that as well. And you have to be careful with my single liver, as we all do, if we're honest. And Scott is saying, no payback required. Just hope you enjoy them. Absolutely, my friend. Toon is saying, Aquavite, maybe in the future we can organise a whiskey tour in Scotland. I don't see why not. Honestly, there's a few people that have floated that idea. Whether it's a tour, whether it's a get-together, a tasting, a day, an event, a something, why wouldn't we do that? And whether it was born out of this community or the Patreon community or the wider community, whatever it may be, I mean, it's difficult to get people together from all corners of the world, right? But anything's possible. And if it kind of builds up enough interest, I would be all over that. That would be a fantastic thing to do. And then you could meet so many of the other characters that are around here in Scotland. You could meet people that you know from social media and people that are writing blogs and everybody that's active here. You could put faces to names. And let me say, if you've never done that, it's one of the greatest privileges, it really is, to be able to meet people in the flesh. One big Glasgow weekend, Bart is saying, fantastic. Jason is saying, Roy's whiskey tours, love it. Yeah. Planned well in advance, absolutely. Renting the Bonaccord. That's the thing. We would need to find a venue. Jason Fowler is saying, unfortunately, I have nothing whiskey-wise that you would not consider pedestrian. I will do my part via Patreon and donations. Well, that's right, Jason, and that's absolutely perfect. And a lot of the time, what you would think, what you're talking about when you say pedestrian, we can never, ever, it doesn't matter where we are in our whiskey journey. I think we do ourselves a disservice and we do the whiskey a disservice if we forget what those pedestrian whiskies meant to us the first time we happened upon them and how they helped us build our perspective of the whiskey landscape and all those kind of little mini malt moments, as Ralphie would say, or those kind of little mini epiphanies, as I would say, those little steps, those little whiskey journey stepping stones that you have with them, to the point that one of the reasons that my whiskey collection downstairs is so heavily laden is that I still have a lot of those pedestrian whiskies there. And the reason I have them there is that I don't want to be the whiskey geek if somebody comes round to my house wanting to know how to start to enjoy whiskey. I don't want to start pouring cask strength Clynelish for them and Lagavulin face shield at cask strength and all of that. You have to kind of treat them with kind of kid gloves and not feed them based on your perspective where you are in your whiskey journey, but try to remember what it was like for you when you were starting out. And I understand why you're using the word pedestrian, but I would refer to them more as the kind of core range, the core product, the entry level stuff. And they've got a very, very valid place in the whiskey landscape. So you would be surprised how many pedestrian whiskies I still have open and shared downstairs. Sevi the Alchemist is saying, yes, let's get that wonderful whiskey weekender in the diary. Sevi has already accosted me in the flesh and said, yeah, I'd be up for that. And if you meet Sevi the Alchemist, you would understand his energy is there. You can tell he'd be the type of guy that would take that kind of thing, that project, and run with it. Mikey Hay is saying, I gave Roy a very interesting whiskey sample a week or two ago. Okay, I have it here, Mikey. You gave me an Ibiki 12, which I almost opened tonight. But I'm going to save this for a moment because I don't have the Harmony, but my friend's got a bottle of the Hibiki Harmony. And I thought I'd take it over to his house and we could try these back to back. I thought that would be a good idea. Thank you very, very much for this, Mikey. But he also gave me this, and I'm not going to say what it is in just case there's any kind of ears out there in YouTube land, but he gave me this. I hope that it can focus. There you go. So this is a real thing. This is a Thai grain whiskey. This is at 40%. I have opened and had a wee smell at this. And let the double entendres fly free. Now, Mikey also showed me a picture of this, the bottle of this, up next to a bottle of Black Bush and said it's a match made in heaven. So I can get away with saying that perhaps on YouTube without getting the swear word police. I don't want to attract any more controversy. Marcus is saying, no problem with pedestrian whiskey. Sometimes you want something a little bit simpler. Yep, I always enjoy a Glenfiddich 12. Absolutely, me too. Now and then, perfect background whiskey. That's right. And sometimes you don't have a choice. Sometimes you're in an environment, you're at a restaurant, a hotel, or wherever it may be, and all they've got is the Glenmorangie 10s, the Glenfiddich 12s. And maybe you'll be very lucky and occasionally you'll find an HP or a Lagavulin 16 or something. But often it's just those kind of more standard ones that are there, and you sip them and you realise that, you know, these are good quality whiskies. I mean, I never find Glenfiddich 12 sickly. There's a lot of things of that price point and younger that I find, usually non-age statement if I'm honest, that I find sickly. I can't really have more than a dram. This is delicious, Scott. Once you go black. Superb. I might actually try a little bit of this Thai grain whiskey, this Black Cock from Mikey, just to say that I've tried it. Okay, so what are we all able to sip tonight? I mean, I guess there's a lot of you in from the States. It's looking like obviously Foodquig's in from the West Coast, so he's 9 hours behind. I noticed a lot of you guys are in Central Time. Christina's in as well. Christina, fantastic to see you, not going to lie. Roy's accent would be great, saying that, very funny. Well, I just said it ever so quietly, right? Did you get a Longrow 14 sherry sample, Roy? Yes, I did. I thought I might have had one out, actually. And as I mentioned this earlier, this year's Longrow 14 sherry was really quite a dirty whiskey. It was as sour, as savoury as I've ever had from a Longrow, even sulphury, really quite sulphury. Now, I know a lot of people love those flavours. They love that about Springbank, and it's there in force in that expression. Everybody's getting these Black Cock comments hidden because YouTube's picking it up as being spam, I guess. Now, somebody mentioned Connor. Does that mean that Connor is in? Is Connor Strang in tonight? Are you in, Connor? Multi-Haggis Monisha. Filthy Dram loved it though. Exactly my point. That, you know, if people, once they get a taste for that kind of Springbank funk, the Longrow 14 it's exaggerated in that. I've had a couple of samples of that this year. It's just maybe just a shade too much for me. Quite enjoy it. I'm quite happy to sit there and sip it, but I think it's certainly not a session dram, given of just how kind of agricultural and earthy it actually is. Foodquig. Okay, so what we need to do tonight, of course, and probably why a lot of you are tuning in, is to draw this I don't even want to say the word giveaway, but it is a giveaway now, and it needs to be, it's a YouTube giveaway, of course it is. And I was just trying to find a way to say thank you to my patrons by prioritizing you guys. So I bought tickets that I could draw for you guys. So what that means is that I have 4 tickets here. One of them's for me, of course, and the rest, 2 of them will be drawn for patrons who can get to Glasgow. And I understand that that's a very, very specific thing, and it's not really that fair because so many of you, of course, cannot get here. But I could have just kept it at a simple care package giveaway. I could have just kept it at that, but I wanted to find a way to maybe have the opportunity to spend time with at least some of you if it was at all possible. And I might be lucky enough to pick up somebody that's able to make it from out of the country or is passing through or something. But I thought the tickets were just too good an idea. The timing was good for a Ralphie tasting, right? I know that Jason, who's already in, Malt Review Jason, will be there. Really excited about that, Jason. I'm really glad that you're going to be there. So 2 tickets I'm going to give to patrons, and 1 ticket is going to be just given out to the community. So I'll draw those tonight, and I'll draw those live in front of you so you can see there's no shenanigans, and it's absolutely who's drawn is drawn. And I went in at 9 o'clock tonight and I compiled the list from the comments on the YouTube video, the comments on the Patreon chat, and I should have everyone. I hope I've got everybody. Then what I'll do is I'll draw the single ticket for the community, the wider community, and then I'll also draw the care package tickets, and that way that everybody's got an opportunity of getting something from me. And the care package will be curated with a bit of thought and a bit of effort, but I obviously have to be sensitive to where you are located. If you're in Canada, it's impossible for me to ship you whiskey, even samples. The Canadian customs are really draconian. I've managed to get things into America without hiccup. Even when there's been packages opened and inspected, they clearly see that what's in the package is a small quantity, that it's meant as a gift and nothing more, that it's mixed in with other things, and it gets through. Canada, I've had some misfortune with Canada. So it depends very much on where you are, what I'm going to be able to send you. But regardless of where you are, I'll do my best to send you things that you might think is cool. And it's a complete bonus. It's just really a way for me to say thank you. And on top of that, the other promises that I have will be in place as well, and that's to continue the Patreon-only live streams so that we can get together for an hour here and there and do this thing. But also come up with an exclusive Patreon-only Evangelist coin. I don't have those yet. I'm still working on the design. I want a design that is cool, so that the B-side is an exclusive design, just that I can send out to patrons, and that's free. Also, just responding to a question, people continually ask me what I charge for on Patreon. This stream just now is not charged for, it's free. Impromptu lives, announcement videos, experimental videos, none of those are charged. I charge for my pre-recorded project videos, of which some months, if I'm really efficient and productive, I'll get 2 out, but most of the time I get 1 video out a month. So let's say 1 or 2 of those, and the 2 scheduled VPub live streams. Those are charged as creations. So if it's something that takes me time, that I invest time in doing to create or to host, or those are charged. But all the other kind of videos and things, and all the other posts that I'm sharing continually on through Patreon, are not charged. It's only those videos. The same when I started back in February, that's what it was, and it's still the same now. I don't know if there's a way for me to change the language inside Patreon to say per video rather than per creation, but I think that would get people worried, because there's a lot of videos I'm sharing inside Patreon that's not charged. And if you want to know whether you paid for that or not, there will be something written at the top to tell you whether it was paid for by patrons or not. Food Quick is saying, hey, your samples made their way here last year. That's right, Andy. And I think the reason that they got through to you is because somebody opened that package up, you'll remember, and inspected it fully, and they realized that it was a gift thing, that it was a kind of blind challenge thing, right? And they let it go through. But I sent Malted Montreal Swami, I sent him a package of samples that included really quite nice stuff. It even included some Brora in there. And that was taken by Canadian Customs. So they do tend to be a wee bit trickier. But yeah, depending on where you are, I'll work with you on a one-to-one basis to try and work out the best way to get a care package that you're going to quite like. The Alchemist is saying it's a shame. Malt Chronicles are my fault. Hope I can meet up with you both again soon. If you're ever in Glasgow and Aquavita is busy, I can substitute in for a night of dramps. There's lots of willing Glaswegians and people around here that's looking for excuses like Sevi there to get together and share whiskey and talk about whiskey. Toon is saying, what's your opinion about Glenfarclas 25? I think the cheapest 25-year-old whiskey. Yeah. Glenfarclas, very, very good value. I would say the 24-year-old Annock is also fantastic value. I would say arguably more so. Balblair as well, at that kind of age, 21, 20 plus years is very, very inexpensive. Certainly UK perspective I'm talking about. Glenfarclas seem to embrace inconsistency. So for every bottle of Glenfarclas 25 or 21 or 15 or whatever it may be you have that's lovely and sublime, you get another one that's a bit hot. Or you get another one that's not quite as dark or as rich or as oily or whatever it may be. They do wax and wane a wee bit, and Glenfarclas seem to be one of those producers that seem to, this is just my opinion and my own experience, of course, that embrace that. They don't seem to mind that that's part of a dynamic of pot still production of whiskey. So yeah, Malt Chronicles is saying, next time write Dalmore on your Brora sample and it'll go through. That's perfect, Mark. I got my little, this is from Canada. This is really funny, actually. I got my Trenian Sea coin just to keep the collection going here. And this arrived for me. It was here waiting for me when I get back from holiday, but I ordered this way back at the start of August. And Trenian Sea shipped it, and you can maybe see the postcode on this. I don't know if you'll make that out. But it says, I've just flashed my camera and my address up there on screen. So please don't share this link out beyond the Patreon, folks. August 16th, Trenian Sea shipped this. And it arrived this weekend. 2 months to ship from Canada for this. This is all that was in the package. This, 35 grams of weight or whatever. Unbelievable. But I'm sure that's because it was shipped surface instead of airmail. I hope that all my coins have arrived now. I know there's one or two still not made it there yet that I've had to recover and send replacements out for. So if you're still waiting, let me know. Whiskey Wolf is saying he got the Annock 24 for £100 at the distillery a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, I think you'll find that tight and odd when you first open it, but like so many bottles, when you open it and leave it for a while, it's just brilliant. Donner Pass Whiskey is asking about Glenfarclas 25. It's less than a lot of 18s. It's the exact same as the 25-year-old Glenfarclas. Some of them are very, very good, and none of them are bad, especially for the price that they're out there at. It's great value whiskey. Buy and enjoy. I've never had a bad Glenfarclas. I've just had some that didn't quite grab me as much as others. And at that price, it's easy to invest in that age of whiskey. Okay, talking too much. Need to get on with this draw. So let's take you through. Are we ready for the draw? I'm sure we are. We want to see who's going to get it. Okay. Try and do a screen share. That's probably the best way to do this. Try and get the camera back in focus. Right, let's see if I can do a screen share. And hopefully you can see a spreadsheet coming up. I'll wait for the chat to make sure you can see that. Pull up a little monitor window, actually. And what we have here is 3 tabs. I'll click onto this. This is just me. I just threw these names in tonight. So what we have here is this is the patrons who have entered the ticket draw. These are the people from the community that entered the community draw, which obviously, if you're a patron, you could enter that as well, no problem. And this is obviously the patrons who entered the package draw. So I'm hoping if I just leave that there for you to scroll down, I'll try and pull up the chat window here. If you see your name there, you know you're good. And if you think your name should be there, but it isn't, now is the time to shout out. Now is the time to tell me that you're not there. If I scroll down to the bottom, see who's there at the bottom. And there are 56 people looking for the package. I think we'll draw that first. And then we'll draw the Ralphie tasting tickets. Okay. So I'll come back to you. And I'll share the screen again when we go back. I've just picked up a couple of messages here. Just want to make sure that I'm not going to miss anyone out. Okay, I think we're okay. Okay, now I'm going to ask my phone to draw a random number. So we'll clear this. So you can see that this is above board, and I'm going to ask them to draw a random number between 0 and 57. We've got 56 in, but I'm not sure if she would, 56 would be inclusive. So I'm just going to cover it by saying 57. And if she draws 57, we'll do it again, of course. So there will be 2 care packages sent out. So I'm going to draw 2 names just now. So if we're ready for this, hang on, just let me check. Let me check these chats. Food Quig, no, you didn't forget. I will now put you in. You're now being in Canada. You're not going to get here for the Ralphie thing, are you? So you're in now. Is anybody else in Scotch for Dummies? Fantastic that you've been able to join, guys. I'm going to guess that tonight, Mark or Drew, perhaps. I'm going to guess that it's Drew that's joined me tonight. Anybody else? Oh, goodness, good luck. This is exciting. I just want to make sure I've not forgot anyone. Food Quig, you're in. Christina's first on the list. She absolutely was. Somehow I missed the package draw. So let's put you in as well, Matthias. You're in. I knew this would be a wee bit untidy. This is the first time I've done this, so it's going to get a bit awkward for me. James Hope didn't see my name. James, you're in as well. I don't know how I missed your name. Where did you comment? But you're there. And I guess just James, let me know if you are also in for the ticket draw as well. Very glad that you're joining me here. So you, James, let me know if you're in for the ticket and for the package. Thomas McCrory, are you in? Command F, let's do McCrory. No. So I'll add you as well, Thomas. Glad I'm doing this, right? Kenneth Kennelty. I did have a 9 o'clock cut off for this, but as long as you don't mind me adding in names at the last minute. Yes, please, got it. Jason Fowler. Of course, Jason. Fantastic. This is when I need a moderator in. Multi-Haggish Muncher, my name can be removed from the Ralphie draw. I'm at work those dates. Were you the guy who got in touch to say, let's see, you're Matthew, aren't you? Okay. So one is missing. Thanks, Matthew. Thanks for that reminder. Okay, I've also got Steve A saying Daniel Broer package. Daniel Broer. Is Daniel under a different name? Who I know Daniel as? Package draw only for me, Metal Man, no problem. So who do I have you under? This is the problem, of course, because sometimes it's difficult for me to match your pretend names with your real names, right? If somebody gets drawn and it's a prize that they can't accept, basically there's a 24 hours for me to match up with you, to hook up with you, and to work it out how to do it. Less so on the package, that's more laid back. But the ticket's time sensitive, of course. Then we'll just redraw it again, and when I redraw it, I'll hook up with you directly. The Alchemist, ignore me. You saw it already. Package draw, please, for Tim Medley. Now, Tim, did I not get you? I thought I had you already. Perhaps not. But let's add you in now, just to be sure. Okay, so we're now up to 64 for the package. And Mock Chronicles is saying this is my real name. And Daniel Brower is here in the chat. Apologies, Daniel. There you are. Saying, crud, I don't see my name. Don't worry, you're in there. You're number 63, Daniel. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Right, let's get this drawn, okay? So, I think we need to draw the curtains on this and say that if your names are in, you're in the draw. And if you're not, this won't be the last one. But then the ones in the future, I think I'm going to have to keep out of Patreon because they don't seem to like me doing draws inside their environment. And I need to find a way to make it a bit more clean. Like I did when I gave away the bottle of Ralphie's Whiskey of the Year last year, the Glencairn 15. That was just a straight community draw. But we'll just need to come up with more and more creative ways to do this. Anyway, less talky, more drawy. Let's see. Let's see. I'll hold this up so you can see this, and then I'll click back to the spreadsheet. Make it the same size. Hey Siri, pick a random number between 0 and 65.
Random number between 0 and 65 is 45.
45. So let's do a screen share. I'm not going to look, see who it is yet. Application window. Okay, let's scroll up to 45. And we can see that it's Zach Andrews. Zach, I think you're in tonight. Zach, you're the first guy to receive a care package. Well done, my friend. Now, I was very fortunate to meet Zach and shake his hand when I was in Texas this year. And that was a pleasure. Zach, you've got a care package heading out to Texas. Superb. Now, I'll stay on the screen share and I will draw the second one. Actually, no, I'll let you see. Back to me. Okay. Turn the volume up a wee bit. Hey Siri, draw a random number between 0 and 65.
Random number between 0 and 65 is 8.
8. Wow. Let's see who number 8 is. Let's go and scroll all the way up right at the start. 8 is Vito Gagliardi. Vito. Vito is one of the team that just started a podcast along with Josh and Brad. Vito has managed to bag the second package. Vito. Well done, Vito. Fantastic. So I will work with you guys to work out what t-shirt size you are, where you are in the world. I know that you're both in the States, actually. Vito, I got to meet you as well, didn't I? I got to meet you at this semi-secret tasting on the Friday, Vito, which is superb. So both the guys that's won the package, I have actually, Josh is saying, Vito, you bastard. So well done, Zach. Well done, guys. Well done, Vito, as well. Now let's get these tickets drawn for. The first two I'm going to draw are obviously the Patreon tickets. So let's get right into that while we're still all excited about this and see who's actually going to be joining me for the Ralphie tasting. So the tickets, here we are. We have James Hope down there as well. Now, I'm just going to give the chat a minute. Oh, Vito is in Canada, but send it to Christina Zirpoli and I can pick it up. Okay, so we're worried a wee bit about Canada there. Okay, Vito, don't worry. We can work it out. We can work around these things. So let's get on and find out who these Ralphie tickets are going to. Hey Siri, give me a random number between 1 and 16.
Random number between 1 and 16 is 5.
Jez Batty. Jez Batty, Jez, you star. You have picked up the first Ralphie ticket. So Jez, if you are in here tonight as London Whiskey Club, if that is indeed you, and you can get to Glasgow for Sunday the 11th of November, you're joining me, and that's going to be a pleasure of mine. You were my second ever Patreon, Jez. So I will eventually get to breathe the same air as you, say thank you personally, and take you along to meet the Grandmaster Ralphie himself. So yes, let me know if you can get here on the 11th of November. Let's see who's going to be joining us, Jez. Hey Siri, give me a random number between 1 and 16.
Random number between 1 and 16 is 10.
10 is Error McFault. Error is my friend from Belgium who was in Glasgow about 3 weeks ago. That's too funny. That's completely random. I hope you witnessed that. That was absolutely 100% random. Error, I know that you're in Belgium. I know you were I know you were having you might have been having a bit of a laugh that you were going to come back along, but I've not even seen you in here tonight. Are you in, my friend? Well, you and I will get together. We have 24 hours to work out if you are actually coming to Glasgow for this gig to join Jez and myself for the Ralphie tasting. That would be fantastic. That would be fantastic. If you can make it, that would be superb to see again. I'm just looking to see if Error is actually in. Can I see participants? He is in. It says that he's in. So make yourself known, Error. Or are you busy away checking flights? Are you now squaring it with your wife to see if you can get here? And if Error or anybody, Jez, if no one can make it, and we need to make other arrangements, the ticket will just get redrawn again, and I hope that you know that I'll draw it in good faith, and I'll draw it in the exact same random way. I may even try and devise a way to do it on video so that if I'm ever called on it, I can show that it's with integrity. And finally, let's go out to the community here and see who's going to come along and join us from the wider community. Share this one. Hopefully you'll see that again. And we'll click to the community tickets. Fantastic. We have got 16 names in there as well. So let's see who. Now, I know that Metal Man has withdrawn. So let's just bear that in mind. Hey Siri, give me a random number between 0 and 17.
0 and 17 is 10.
10. 10 is Stuart Peel. Stuart Peel. Now, Stuart won't be in tonight because, of course, Stuart is from the community. Stuart is not a patron, but he was one of the guys that watched the live stream and entered through the comments. So Stuart Peel. I'm trying to fathom. It's really difficult for me. There's just so many names, so many real names, so many pretend names, so many of you patrons now. It's really, really difficult for me to keep track. I need to make more of an effort. So there we go. Let's pull up the chat, see what you're saying about that. We have Stuart Peel, we have Jez, and we have Error. Fantastic. I hope that we can arrange this and get people together. Now, there were people from the States offering to come over for this thing. People from everywhere saying, you know, I'll move, you know, come hell or high water, I will get there for the tasting. So I was really pleased that people were getting excited about that. And congratulations to the winners, and of course commiserations for anybody who didn't manage to win anything, but really wanted to come along. Fantastic. Bart is saying, I never liked Apple. Siri knows. Amy's saying, thank you, Roy. Amy, you're very welcome. Error is saying that he's overwhelmed. It looks like we're going to be seeing each other again, Error. It's quite unbelievable, isn't it? Superb. And the alchemist Sevi entered this competition but managed to snag a ticket by himself, and being the gentleman that he is, withdrew from the competition to give everybody else out there a better chance, which is it's just the kind of that kind of attitude that we've come to expect out of this fantastic community. Mashburn is saying, are there still tickets? I could still swing through. There may be, if you contact Good Spirits Company directly, there may still be tickets left for that event. The Alchemist Sevi was able to pick up a ticket by contacting them directly, but it is one of these events that sell out super fast. So call them first thing in the morning and ask if there are any Ralphie tasting tickets left for November 11th. I need a wee drink of water after that. Brad is saying he would have put his name in if he wasn't going to be in Austin like the day after. Interesting that 2 number 10s were drawn, right? It's just the way it rolls. It's just absolutely the way it was. That's as honest as I could play this. Fantastic. So there we go, guys. I think my work is done. I hope that I didn't screw up or make any mistakes or whatever doing this kind of thing. I know I made a mistake in the Patreon environment. I got into trouble from them. I'll know to be a bit more discreet about these kind of things in future with Patreon. I can't plaster giveaways, a headline, and get you all to enter into a raffle in the comments and things like that. Patreon don't take kindly to that. And I can understand why, because a lot of people will use that very function in order to drive their patron members up. And that's not my intention. My intention was purely to find a way to meet with you guys, to hang out with you, to know you face to face, and to give you something that would be a wee bit different. That was fully the intention here. And the care package was the obvious way for me to get things out to you, even if it's unlikely that we can ever meet up, certainly not in the immediate future. Fantastic. Well done, Jez. Well done, Zach. Well done, Vito. Well done, Stuart. And well done, Era. Superb. So what left is there to say, apart from I'm in Italy with a work thing at the end of the month, and it's the first time that I've had a clash with a Thursday night scheduled VPub. Okay, it just can't happen, but I've had to pull it forward. So Thursday night this week, only 3 nights from now, there'll be a regular scheduled VPub going out a week earlier than usual. Last VPub was unbelievable. There was I got the analytics through. There was 237 of you joined for that event. The Glendronach 15 was obviously a big draw. Lots and lots of people wanting to know how that was stacking up against the other one, and I hope I did that justice. But I think what's happening as well is that this kind of Thursday night thing is starting to become, it's starting to build a bit of a momentum. And it's interesting because the chat is moving so fast that it's kind of difficult for me to keep up. But as I've just demonstrated to you tonight, I'm a bit rubbish at that anyway. And even with a much smaller room, 50 of you has been the average in tonight. I can see that you can see it's difficult for me just to kind of chat with you. Andy's saying, cheers, Roy, good crack, dude. Yeah, It's a shame, Andy, because I thought there was a chance that you could have got up here, right? For that, I know you'd have loved it, and I'd love to have you along. There's just, see if I could take every one of you from this crowd, every one of you that entered, and we could all just go along together. That would be amazing, right? Maybe one day, maybe we'll be such a big community, we'll be so connected, we'll be such good friends, so we can that we can actually go to Ralphie and say, hey Ralphie, do a tasting for us, big guy, will you? And we would sit in the room hosted by Ralphie and purr like whiskey-filled kittens. And as Mikey has just suggested, I'm going to pour some of the black cock. Wow, it's sugary, sugary sweet. I guess this isn't aged at all, right? It's watered down to 40%, so it's not really heavy on the nose. It's not, doesn't particularly burn. Very sweet. It's like candy floss. Pink bubblegum. Bazooka. Bazooka Joe's was a bubblegum we had in the UK. You used to get a little kind of lick and stick tattoo inside. It smells like that. Dusted sugar. It's all sugar. I'm not getting much in the way of fruit. Black cock, here goes. That must be sweetened. That must be sweetened. In the mouth, it tastes like somebody has taken a weak vodka and ladled it with icing sugar. There is virtually nothing that makes me think whiskey about that. I wouldn't say nothing. But it's just sugar. It's just powdered sugar. All these comments have been hidden here. I'm not going to repeat some of the double entendres. Thank you, Bart. Thank you, Marcus. It looks like there's going to be a few phone calls going into the Good Spirits Company first thing in the morning. Remember that if you're in Europe, you're an hour ahead of us. So ring up nice and early and see if you can grab yourself any tickets, if there are any left. I would be surprised. I was actually really surprised when Sevi managed to get a ticket. I would imagine that those would sell out really, really quickly. They do most years. McAllen Fine and Rare is saying the questions for Ralphie tasting is not marked as sold out on the website. So there you go. There could be more of us there. It's just a question of will, isn't it? Superb. Listen, guys, that's gone on a bit longer than I expected. An easy hour and 20 minutes for me. Wonderful just to hang out with you guys. I've felt much more comfortable. It's been a lot more laid back. I feel like I don't need to be on quite as much when I'm hanging out with you guys. It's a wee bit easier. Great fun. Wonderful to have your support. I want to do these a wee bit more often. I would like to do a monthly or every 6 weeks or so, get a Patreon only stream. Just an hour. There's no real agenda. There's no real subjects to talk about. Just kind of hang out. And I feel a wee bit more comfortable talking about the channel and the channel subjects, because I think that people in the crowd out there and YouTube don't really care about the channel. They don't really care about merch that I'm doing and how many patrons I have and things like that. They just kind of want to do the whiskey chat, which is absolutely fine. But it's kind of nice to share plans with you guys, because you have been very, very good buffers for me. In terms of keeping the sanity and keeping me grounded and giving me feedback when I ask for things. Kenneth Kennelty is saying we need a cigar. We do. Superb. For everybody that joined in, from everybody from the west coast of Canada, Foodquig over there, all the way through the US, all the way into Europe and beyond, and all the guys that are here down in Englandshire and back up in Scotland next to me as well. Just an absolute pleasure to spend a wee bit of whiskey time with you. For those of you that can make it on Thursday night, I look forward to welcoming you in there for a proper stream. And Yes. Gillian's in as well. Gillian, I've just seen you pop in saying good night. And I look forward to having a hangout with you. And I'm not going to say, I'm not going to raise a glass of black cock. I'll have another wee sip of this. That's got to be a mixer. That is just something that would add sweetness to a mixer and alcohol. It's just sugar. And then a wee bit of water. As a follow-up, with the other end of the spectrum, a 41-year-old blended Scotch. Thank you so much for all your support this year, patrons. You're 109 strong as I say goodnight to you tonight. And that is way more than I could ever reasonably have dreamt of. Thank you so much. Sláinte. And until next time, good night, folks.